There are ways God speaks, and how to hear God's voice is what we're considering today. God speaks to us in many different ways. It is important that we take cognizance of how He speaks. Many people think they do not hear from God because they are looking for some kind of supernatural manifestation. But that's not likely to happen. Most of the time, He speaks in our hearts through peace or a lack of it. If we have peace, we may proceed with our intended action. If we do not have peace, that is a word from God to us to stop. He also speaks through wisdom. God does not lead us to do foolish things like some people have done. He speaks to us through His word and never tells us to do anything that does not align. He speaks to us through other people and even our circumstances. Job 33:14-16, it says, "But God may speak in one way or in another, yet man does not perceive it. In a dream, when deep sleep falls upon men, while slumbering, then He opens the ears of men and seals their instruction." Numbers 12:6, it says, "Hear now my words. If there is a prophet among you, I, the Lord, make myself known to him in a vision. I speak to him in a dream." This goes to show that God speaks in different ways. So He usually speaks to us through a voice that we will recognize. Sometimes it may even sound like our own voice or of someone. When God speaks to us, He does not usually boom from heaven. 1 Kings 19:11-13 says, "Go out and stand on the mountain before the Lord. And behold, the Lord passed by, and a great and strong wind tore into the mountains and broke the rocks in pieces. But the Lord was not in the wind. And after the wind, an earthquake, but the Lord was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake, a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire, a still small voice. He wrapped His face in His mantle and went out and stood in the entrance of the cave. Suddenly, a voice came to him and said, 'What are you doing here, Elisha?'" We may presume in such situation that we are hearing ourselves. But God's word in our spirit are always filled with a wisdom that we could never have on our own. When you have fellowship with God regularly, He will speak to you in many different ways. And God is trying to talk to all His children at all times too. We all can hear Him if we simply ask Him to speak clearly to us. Then listen to our inner man and then wait for Him to speak. Psalm 5:3, it says, "In the morning you hear my voice, O Lord. In the morning I prepare a prayer, a sacrifice for you, and I watch and wait for you to speak to my heart." So God has the power to do all things, including opening our ears to hear Him. Psalm 62:11 says, "God has spoken once, twice have I heard this, that power belongs to God." People ask, how can I be sure I'm hearing from God? As believers, hearing from God is our right and privilege. The word says that we can know His voice if we truly know God's character, nature, and the history of how He has led others before us. If we truly belong to God, He will give us discernment to know if what we are hearing is truly from Him or not. He will enable us to distinguish His voice from deceptive spirits of error. Then we can have confidence that we are following God's direction, whether He is leading us to go forward or telling us to wait. To hear God and avoid the spirit of error, it is important to look into God's word and spend time with Him there. The more we study and learn the word, we will be able to hear God's voice. I encourage you to begin to ask God to speak to you and then listen for His voice. He has so many good things to say to you, for He is our God, and we are the people of His pasture and the sheep of His hand. Today, if you hear His voice, do not harden your hearts. Jeremiah 7:23 says, But this is what I command them, saying, obey my voice, and I'll be your God, and ye shall be my people, and walk in all the ways that I have commanded you, that it may be well